Today, we're going to be working on symmetrical tiger monoprints. But first, let's take a look at what a monoprint is and what symmetrical means. A monoprint is a form of printmaking where the image can only be made once, unlike most printmaking, which allows for multiple prints. In monoprinting, designs and images are created in ink that has already been added to a printing plate. In other types of printmaking, the design is carved or etched or built up on a printing plate and can be used over and over. Symmetry is defined as a proportionate and balanced similarity that is found in two halves of an object. That means that one half is the mirror image of the other half. For example, different shapes like squares, rectangles, circles are symmetric along their respective lines of symmetry. For this project, we're going to create a line of symmetry with a fold in our paper. We are going to draw half of a tiger face, following these simple shapes and steps. When we're printing, we will only be adding paint to the side that we've drawn, and then we will fold our paper to print that paint across the line of symmetry, keeping our tiger's face symmetrical. Now your paint has to stay very wet to print across the line of symmetry. So I say, paint a little, print a little. Don't try to paint everything and then print it at the end. Paint one or two things and then print it and see how it turns out. You can always kind of adjust it later. In fact, I make a few mistakes in this printing that I go back and fine-tune with my paintbrush at the very end of my print. For our first printing session, we will be mostly using white and orange, and then we will give it a chance to dry in between printing sessions. You can already see how wet my paper is getting from behind, and if my paper gets too wet, it will start to rip, or the paint will actually start to lift off in places where I want it to stay, like you can see in the tiger's eyes. So for our first session, we are going to print mostly with white and orange. After that, we're going to give our prints a little bit of a chance to dry before we move on to our next colors. Our next colors are going to be a little bit more orange. Anywhere that we missed out with that orange that we want it to go, get that printed into place. The final color that you should be printing with is black. Black is really strong and will get absorbed and move into other places, sometimes where you don't want black to go, like I do here. My tiger's eyes get a little wackadoo. And that's okay. I'm going to adjust them later. It's all about the experience and trying it out and kind of just seeing how your tiger turns out and what he ends up looking like at the end of the day with these little details that you're printing as you go. Once you've gone about as far as your print can take you, you can get those colors again and maybe clean up those eyes to make them a little bit easier to see, or add in a little bit more texture in a few places, maybe where it got left behind. Now you don't want to take away from the print. That means you shouldn't be painting over the whole thing again. Only add a few details if they really need to be added.